Hello guys, welcome to MindMajix, and in this special session our trainer will explain everything you need to know about the Spring Boot. Before beginning the session, let's look at the topics you will cover in this video. We shall start with Web Application with Spring Boot. And we will continue with Spring Web App. Spring Boot Web App. Pom.xml of Spring Boot Web App. And we will end this session with Application.Properties of Spring Boot App. Please check the caption to jump between the topics. If you are new to the MindMajix channel, please subscribe and press the bell icon to get quick updates about the new tech tutorials, free webinars, and career-enhancing shorts from working professionals. Like and share the video. Without any further delay, let's start the video.
First concept, that is how to create Spring Web Application. So everyone knows the basic MVC workflow of Spring Web Application. Generally, when it comes to Spring Web Application with MVC pattern, we need to follow 6 steps. The first one is we need to send the request. We need to define the dispatcher servlet, and we need to implement controller logic, and we need to implement modal and view, and we need to configure view resolver bean, and we need to specify the exact view component which is used to display the result. Right? The first one is request. Generally, what happens in any web application, we are trying to send the request from the client. So in Spring Web MVC also, when we are trying to send the request, so this is the first step in the MVC flow, then what happens? The request is going to trap and taken by the dispatcher servlet. What exactly dispatcher servlet? So this dispatcher servlet can be act as a front controller, and it is used to get the information of request, and it transfers the request to the appropriate controller. So we need to specify the dispatcher servlet information into deployment descriptor file. So this dispatcher servlet will pass the request to the appropriate controller with the help of handler mapping. So once the dispatcher servlet knows which controller will be able to handle the request, then it transpose the request to the appropriate one. Even you are working with multiple controllers. So what is the use of this controller? So this controller will be used to process your request based on appropriate methods, and it will return to modal, data, and view name. So in modal and view, again, the process should be completed, and it will return the processor data again to the dispatcher servlet. So now the dispatcher servlet is ready to send the response to any view component. In case in your application, if multiple view components are there, to recognize the specific view component, you need to take the support of view resolver bean component. So once the modal and view receive the data, the dispatcher servlet will transpose to the view resolver to get the specific view piece. And the final step is the dispatcher servlet will pass the modal data, results, to the view piece. So this is the final step of the flow, which will be displayed result onto browser. Okay, so these are the steps. These are the steps which is required as part of Spring Web Application, right? So along with this theoretical one, actually, here I'm going to implement one simple Spring Web Application so that we'll get better idea. All of you, to be frank, when it comes to Spring Boot or Spring Web Application, so to create Spring Web Application, we need to write many steps. We will see all these steps practically so that we'll get better idea. Okay. So for that reason, I'm just trying to open Eclipse IDE. Okay. So this is the STS IDE. I'm just trying to open Eclipse IDE from D drive. Do it one thing. So first of all, I need to choose the required workspace to implement our Spring Web Application. Okay. So here I already created one folder for Spring Web Application. So what my requirement is, I'm just trying to remove this current project. Okay. Because I just want to create some new project, right? So that's the reason. I'm trying to open Eclipse IDE from the D drive, required softwares, and from here, Eclipse IDE, Eclipse. So this is the Eclipse icon. Here I'm trying to open Eclipse Neon version in the Spring Web Apps workspace. Okay. The location name is Spring Web Apps. As I already told you, here as part of Spring Web Application, we need to implement many steps actually. Okay. So here, can you please check it? The perspective of Eclipse IDE. So it's by default in Java EE platform, no issue. Now we can able to create Spring Web Application. So generally what happens when it comes to real time, we are not going to implement some, general web application. We are going to take the support of one build tool, that is Maven build tool, to create web application, right? So here also, I'm going to create one simple Spring Web Application by just click on file option and choose new. And after that, Maven project. So this is the build tool. But here, when it comes to Maven point of view also, you can able to create general project or web application. But here my requirement is web application, right? So that's the reason you need to choose Maven archetype, that is web application. I mean to say Maven archetype web application. Okay. After that, you just need to click on next button, and you just need to pass some group ID like com.springweb. And when it comes to certificate ID, so the application name is Spring Demo Web App. Okay. After that, just click on finish button. So it takes some time to create your project successfully, very few seconds. Okay. Can you please observe the progress bar on bottom of your Eclipse IDE? So the project is created successfully with the required prototype. Generally, how we are going to recognize one web application? Simple. It's contain one web app folder in the SRC, and in that web.inf, in that one web.xml file, deployment descriptor file. Okay. And by default, it comes with one view component, that is here JSP. Okay. So here our requirement is we are going to implement one simple Spring Web Application, right? For that, the first step we need to add, the first step is we need to add some dependencies to Pom.xml file. Okay. So by default, Pom.xml comes with only one dependency, that is JUnit dependency for performing unit test cases. Okay. But as per my requirement, I need one Spring Web MVC dependency. At the same time, if you want to recognize, if you want to convert the JSP code into Servlet, for that also we need one more dependency, that is Servlet API dependency. Along with this JUnit dependency, we need two more dependencies. One is Spring Web MVC dependency, one is Servlet dependency. Here our main agenda is we are going to implement only simple Spring Web Application. We are not going to interact with any database. Okay, remember this point. So I already implemented Pom.xml with proper required dependencies for time saving purpose. So this is the Pom.xml file. So just copy the code and paste into your current project. So can you please check the dependencies? So those are, one is Spring Web MVC dependency, JUnit dependency, and one more is Java X.Servlet, Servlet API dependency. So these are the required dependencies. Save this program. Everything is perfect, right? Next, what is the next step? As I already told you, as part of Spring Web MVC, when we are trying to send the request, then the then the request should be trapped and taken by the dispatcher servlet. So our second task is we need to specify dispatcher servlet information into web.xml file. Deployment descriptor file. So the web.xml file comes with only one root tag, that is web app. Okay. Here we already created the required tags, which is used to specify dispatcher servlet information. Okay, for time saving purpose. So this is called web.xml file. So we just need to copy the entire code and paste it into your current project. Save the program. All of you, can you please observe here? The display name is Spring Web Application. Here I'm going to specify the dispatcher servlet information with the help of tags like servlet name Spring, servlet class org.springframework.web.servlet.dispatcher servlet. Okay, and load on startup. By default, we just specify the value as 1. You can able to pass any number as per your requirement. Okay, servlet name Spring and the URL pattern is /. That's enough about the dispatcher servlet configuration. And the third step, 2 steps are successfully completed. The third step, we need to specify the bean in case if you are working with multiple beans, if you are working with controller, if you are working with multiple JSP components. To recognize those JSPs, you need to take the support of view resolver bean configuration, right? I mean to say we need to create one more configuration file. Okay, so for that reason, I'm just trying to create one more configuration file. Before that, the third step is actually we need to create some controller actually. So that's the reason I'm just trying to create one simple controller as the third step. So the class name is some demo controller. Okay, and the package name is com.springweb. Okay, click on finish button. All of you see here, the class is successfully created, the controller. Here, what is the main agenda of controller? It is used to pass. It is used to process the request, and it is used to send the request to the model and view part or any view component based on the request mapping part. Okay, there, in the request mapping, we need to specify the part. So first we need to write one simple annotation, which is used to recognize controller, that is @controller. And after that, we need to take the support of request mapping. Here / some index or some home. Okay. So here I'm just going to write some business method public string display. And here I'm trying to return the result to the index.jsp, so which is already there in our project, right? This is the way, this is the simple way to create one simple controller class. The third step also completed. So what is our main agenda? So here we are trying to pass the request to the appropriate view component, that is the index.jsp. So what exactly you want to see as part of your output? So here my agenda is I just want to display one simple message. Okay, that is welcome to Spring Web Application. Okay, so JSP implementation also completed. Up to now, 4 steps are completed. One is we successfully created, we successfully added the required dependencies into Pom.xml file. We successfully implemented deployment descriptor file, that is web.xml, and we created controller class as per our requirement, and we passed the request to the specific view component, and we also implemented the view component logic by just writing only one statement, that is Welcome to Spring Web Application. But here, to recognize the controller, to recognize the view component, we need to specify all this information into one configuration file. I mean to say, as part of our last step, we need to create one Spring configuration file. How to create Spring configuration file? Very simple. In WebINF, just right click and new, choose others. And my requirement is I'm just trying to create one simple XML file. And the XML file name is Spring-Servlet. Okay. We don't need to specify the .xml extension because it by default comes. Okay. Yeah. See here, this is the Spring. So now here, what we need to do. So here we need to write, okay, Spring configuration related logic. Okay. So the configuration which I already implemented here for time saving purpose. And here, what is the package we created? So that is com.springweb, right? com.springweb. So here I'm just trying to change com.springweb. Okay. So Control-A, Control-C, copy the entire code and paste here. So these are the steps actually. So here we need to specify along with the beans tag, we need to specify the first one is context component scan. The base package is com.springweb. Our controller is into this base package. Okay. After that, if you are working with multiple view components, then you need to write one view resolver bean component. So bean ID is view resolver. Class is org.springframework.web.servlet.view.internal resource view resolver. In case if you are working with multiple view components, then in the prefix you need to specify the folder name, and suffix is the extension of your front-end components. Okay, perfect. So 5 steps are successfully completed. So now one more step we need to do. What is that? We need to arrange some server to execute our application. Because it's a web application, obviously the web applications are going to execute with the help of server. Either it may be web server, either it may be application server. Okay. I'm going to add some external server to our application. So we just click on run on server. See here, there is no server. We need to define a new server manually. So for that, you need to choose here in my system, actually, I successfully installed Tomcat and the version is 8. Okay, version 8. Currently selected server type does not support remote host. Do it one thing. If you are unable to add the server like this, then you can able to add it. But just click on servers, choose here, and Apache. From Apache Tomcat 8.0. See here. So the server's host name is localhost. Server name is Tomcat version 8.0 server at localhost. Click on next button and you need to choose the directory of your server. So C drive, program files, Apache Software Foundation, Tomcat 8.0. Click on OK. And after that, next, and click on finish option. See here. The server is added successfully. Now you can able to run your application. So I'm just trying to click on project, run on server, and localhost, next, and finish. Now server is going to start. Okay. See here, now you can able to show the information that is welcome to Spring Web Application. This is the simple way to implement one simple Spring Web Application. But here we need to write many steps. We need to add the required dependencies in Pom.xml file. We need to create deployment descriptor file, like web.xml file with dispatcher servlet configuration. And we need to create controller. We need to create JSP file. But controller and JSP are the common steps actually, but the boilerplate code, the repeated one is actually every time we need to add a lot of dependencies as part of your required application, as part of your requirement. And you need to create web.xml file. You need to create Spring configuration file. Okay. And we need to add some external server. With the help of server only, we are going to execute Spring Web Application. Even though for the simple, minimal task, we need to do a lot of work as part of Spring Web Application development. That's the reason all of you nowadays, most of the developers are looking into Spring Boot to implement their web applications. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to implement one simple Spring Boot web application. Okay, one simple Spring Boot web application. So for this, actually, very minimal steps are required. So that is, Spring Boot is built on top of the conventional Spring framework, right? As I already told you, don't think that Spring Boot is separate one. Spring Boot is also Spring. But whatever we are trying to do with the help of Spring, but Spring Boot can do it very simple actually. For example, in Spring, if you want to follow 10 steps actually, but when it comes to Spring Boot, you just need to focus on only 4 steps. But most of the cases we are using the Spring Boot as part of REST API implementations. Okay. If you are using Spring Boot, there is no need to build configuration manually. Okay. You don't need to write Spring configuration file. And in case if you are implementing Spring Boot web application, then there is no need of deployment descriptor file. Web.xml, you don't need to implement. And it wraps the dependencies together into a single unit. The meaning of this statement is, in case for your requirement, if you want to add 10 dependencies, when it comes to Spring Boot, there is one facility that is starter dependency. You just need to add at least, only one dependency. The required dependencies will come automatically. And as part of Spring Boot, there are mainly 4 layers are there. One is presentation layer, other one is controller, that is called data access layer, and other one is service layer, and one more is integration layer. When it comes to Spring Boot web application, internal flow, it is going to work with 4 layers mainly. Okay. So obviously Spring Boot will reduce the development time and it also increases the productivity. We'll see how the Spring Boot, how to implement one simple web application using Spring Boot. But before that, all of you, we need to focus on how to implement Pom.xml of Spring Boot. As I already told you, there is one feature in Spring Boot that is called starter Pom. A Pom full form is project object model. So it is a fundamental unit of work in Maven tool. Am I right or not? So Pom is a XML file that contains information about your project and configuration details that is used to build the project. Okay. In Spring Boot web application, we just need to add only one starter dependency, that is Spring-boot-starter-web dependency. You don't need to focus on the remaining dependencies. You don't need to add Servlet API dependency. Okay. Or in case if you are working with any databases. To be frank, actually, you just need to add only one dependency, the core dependencies, or etc. etc. Whatever supported dependencies are there, you no need to bother about those dependencies. In case if you are working with any template engine as part of your Spring Boot web application development, then also you need to add only one dependency, that is Spring-boot-starter-timeleaf dependency. But at present, I'm not using timeleaf because timeleaf is a separate concept. We need to discuss about timeleaf. After that, we'll focus on that. Okay. And one more thing is, in case if you are working with multiple view components, or if you want to change the port number of Tomcat server, then we need to do all the external configuration into application.properties file of Spring Boot. So what is the use of this properties file? It is used to keep a number of properties in a single file to run your application in different environment. Generally in Spring Boot, the properties are going to kept into the application.properties file in the form of key, value pair. As part of Spring Boot web application, we need to provide the views information actually in properties file by just writing spring.mvc.view.prefix. Here you need to specify where exactly your view components are there. Okay. And if you want to specify the suffix information, the extension of your front-end program, that you need to pass here with the help of spring.mvc.view.suffix equal to .jsp. So these are the minimum required steps to implement your Spring Boot web application. Okay. So I'm going to implement one simple Spring Boot web application practically so that you will get better idea. So all of you, please recap your knowledge on how many ways are there to create Spring Boot application. As I already told you, there are 4 ways to create Spring Boot web application. One is you can able to create Spring Boot web application with the help of Eclipse IDE. There you need to create one simple Maven project, and there you need to add some starter dependencies, and there you need to write every information manually, the required prototype of your application. But instead of that, we are using mainly 3 things. One is we are going to follow Spring CLI, Spring Boot command line interface. So that is used to create Spring Boot application prototype. Or you can use Spring Initializer. There you just need to pass some metadata information. Then also you can able to create Spring Boot prototype, Spring Boot project prototype. Or the final one is you can able to use Eclipse IDE. STS, the full form is Spring Tool Suite. By using Spring Tool Suite, also you can able to create Spring Boot projects, right? Most of the real-time developers are using Spring Tool Suite to create their application. Here also, I'm going to create application, Spring Boot web application with the help of Spring Tool Suite. Okay, all of you. So here I'm trying to open Spring Tool Suite. So the view is like this. So here you can able to create normal Java project or Spring Starter project, Spring Boot project, or you can able to import any Spring project or any project. Okay, you can able to create a project with the help of this option also. But what is my requirement? My requirement is how to create one simple Spring Boot web application, right? So for that, we just need to choose one option. The option is create new Spring Starter project and keep the same URL, service URL. And I'm just trying to change the name, that is Spring Boot demo web app. And the required build tool is Maven. So there are two options. One is Maven or Gradle. So most of the cases we are going to work with Maven actually, because we don't have any idea about Gradle. If you have any idea about Android, okay, then you can able to create application as a Gradle also with the build tool Gradle support also. And packaging also, there are two options. You can choose any option, either jar or var. Okay, so I'm just selecting jar type, and the Java supported version, I'm just going to choose 8 version because in my machine I installed 8 version. And language, you can able to create Spring Boot project with the help of Java or Kotlin or Groovy scripts. But I have an idea. I have an idea of Java. So that's the reason I just choose Java. And certificate is Spring Boot demo web application. And description is demo project for Spring Boot web application. And package name is Spring Boot web. That's it. We just need to pass some metadata information. Everything is perfect, right? So now we need to click on next button. And here we need to add some required dependencies. Here our requirement is we are going to implement one simple Spring Boot web application, right? So as I already told you, we just need to add only one dependency with a single name. So that is as per my requirement. I just want only one dependency, that is Spring Web dependency. Okay, after that, click on next and click on finish. And you just need to look it into the bottom of your STS IDE. There is some progress bar. So up to now, this completed 79%. You need to wait up to 100%. Okay, so the building is successfully completed. So this is the prototype of Spring Boot application. Okay. See here, it comes with Pom.xml file, and there are src main Java is there, which is used to keep Java code. The src main resources is there. Here you can able to write required external configuration in Application.Properties file, and src tester.java, which is used to write test cases. Okay. So here we no need to bother about Pom.xml dependency because we already added the required dependency. That is only one dependency is required. That is web dependency. Okay, we added successfully, right? Next, the second step. One step is reduced. We no need to bother about Pom.xml file, right? Okay. The next step is there any need of deployment descriptor file? No need. Is there any requirement of Spring configuration file? No need, because Spring Boot comes with auto configuration feature. Okay, so 3 steps are reduced. We just need to focus on only one step. Okay, so that is how to create controller. Very simple to create controller. Spring Boot Web App by default comes with one application, one class, that is Spring Boot demo web application, web app application with some main method. All of you here, the story is Spring Boot application can be, even it is a web application, you can able to run it as a regular Java application, standalone application. So by just right click on the program, and you can able to choose run as Java application option, or directly you can able to click on run button. Okay, because this Spring Boot application comes with one class with the main method. So in this main method, can you please observe here Spring Boot application? So you are going to run your entire application as a general application by the method name run Spring Boot demo app application dot class and arguments. Okay, so we can able to run it as a regular Java application. But what is our requirement here? We need to create one simple controller class, right? So for that reason, I'm just trying to right click on that, new. I'm just trying to create one class, and the class name is demo controller. Click on finish button. See here. So the controller is created. We just need to pass some controller annotation, and we need to work with one more annotation, that is request mapping. Okay, so here we need to pass any path, that is home, and we need to write some business class method. Business method, that is public string, some display, and here we need to write return. Okay, return, like if I want to redirect my page into some home.jsp page. Okay, now we need to import these two packages. Okay, you just need to wait for a few seconds because my STS ID is in idle mode. Okay, fine. Now I got the import statement related to request mapping, related to control. Success, right? So now next step is we need to create one JSP component. Where we need to create? In Spring Boot also, in SRC, main component. So in the main, you need to create one new folder. Yeah, this is the option. Here you need to create web app. Click on finish button. Again, in the web app, you need to create one more folder, that is views. So in the views, I'm just trying to create one simple JSP file, but just choose other, and we need to get the JSP option from web. Okay, all of you, generally, if you are working with STS ID first time, definitely you are not going to get this JSP file creation with the help of web. Okay, web category. So how to get this web category into your STS ID? Very simple, all of you. You just need to click on help, Eclipse Marketplace. From here, you need to install, okay, JEE related tool actually. Okay, so you just need to search here. So it is going to get all the required information from the internet. It takes some time. No issue, I already installed. You can try from your end. Okay, so that's the reason I'm just trying to close this one, because I already installed. So now what I'm trying to do is the Eclipse market is open successfully. See here, Eclipse web developers tools. Okay, so I don't want, because I have all these things. Now I'm just trying to choose the option JSP, but just click on new and choose others. Choose JSP file, click on next button, and our JSP file name is home. Okay, so finish. I'm just trying to write some information, that is H2 welcome to Spring Boot home page. Okay, save this program. So we need to focus on only two resources. One is controller, and other one is how to implement JSP component. Okay, as part of your output. So now we just need to save this controller class. So now everything is perfect. And all of you, only two steps you need to focus. And the last step is, if you want to run this application, you no need to arrange any external server, because Spring Boot comes with one feature that is called embedded server. So can you please check it into the Maven dependency? In Maven dependency, you can able to get Tomcat related jar file that is Spring Boot Starter Tomcat. Okay. So you no need to arrange any external server. It by default comes with either Tomcat, Jetty, Undertow. Okay. So that's the reason only two steps you need to focus. One is you need to create a controller class, and one more is you just need to add, okay, the JSP file. So now everything is perfect. We need to run our application. Okay. But how the Spring Boot is going to recognize the JSP component? So for that, we need to do some external configuration. So that's the reason I'm just trying to open spring.com.src main resources in that application.properties. As I already told you, we need to inform with two steps. One is spring.mbc.view here. mbc.view.prefix equal to. So now all my JSP components are into views folder. So you need to specify the name of that folder. And one more is you need to pass spring.mbc.view.suffix, that is .jsp, the extension. Okay. So now everything is perfect. Now I'm trying to run our applications. So as I already told you, no need to run with the server. You can able to run, even though it is the Spring Boot web application, you can able to run it as a regular Java application, just like a standalone application that is run as Java application. Okay, run as Java application. So all of you here, can you please check the result? The server console. See here. So we got one error, that is the web server is failed to start at the port number 8080. No issue. In case 8080 is not working properly, then you can able to change the port number, right? So how to change it? Very simple. In application.properties, you need to specify server.port. Okay, server.port equal to, here I'm just trying to keep the server port number as 2022. Okay, so now I'm going to run the application, run as some Java application, run as Java application. So it is going to start Tomcat server with the port number 2022. Can you please observe this message? Tomcat started on port number 2022. Now I'm just trying to open one simple browser, and here I'm trying to type http://localhost and port number is 2022/home. See here. Okay, here we can try, when we are trying to redirect to the home.jsp page, so it is going to download, this is the file. But what my requirement? I don't want to open it actually, right? So this is the home page code. Okay. My requirement is I want to execute the home.jsp result onto the browser, right? For that, all of you, we need to add one more dependency into the Pom.xml file in case if you are working with with JSP components. Okay. So the required dependency is because it need to convert the JSP code into Servlet code, right? So that's the reason we need one more dependency, that is Tomcat embed. Okay, Tomcat embed Jasper dependency, which is used to convert your JSP code into Servlet code, and I'm just trying to work with the version 10.0.18. You can work with anything, not a problem. Just copy this dependency, and I'm just trying to keep it into Pom.xml file. Yeah, after this Servlet API dependence, STS IDE, right? In STS IDE, we just need to open Pom.xml. From the in the Pom.xml, we just need to add it to the required dependencies. That is starter test. After the starter test, I'm just going to add this dependency also. That is Tomcat, Apache Tomcat embedded dependency. Everything is perfect, right? So now we can able to run our application as a general regular Java application. Let's just click on Java application. Now Tomcat server is going to start with the port number 2022. So Tomcat started. Now we need to check it. http://localhost 2022/home. Okay, see here. Still we can able to download the dependency. Tomcat embedded Maven dependency. I'm just trying to add this dependency, Tomcat sorry, we just need to remove from here and keep this one into after Spring Web. Okay, so start this one, Tomcat. I don't want any version. Save this one. Relaunch. Tomcat started with the port number. Localhost 2022/home. Yes, we got the output, right? Welcome to Spring Boot homepage. Like this, all of you, you can keep multiple view components. For example, if I want to keep views in that, I'm just trying to create one more JSP page, other web, sorry, JSP file, and the file name is some contact.jsp page. Next and finish. And here, one simple message that is welcome to contact page. Okay, save this one. And now I'm trying to write some logic into controller, com.springboot in demo controller. I'm just trying to write public string show method, and here return contact. Okay, so here we need to specify with some path, that is contact. Save the program, and here we need to write, oh sorry, not here. We need to write one simple annotation, that is @request mapping, and here we need to specify contact. Okay, save this one. Now you can able to return to the contact.jsp place. Keep the semicolon. Now everything is perfect. Now I'm trying to relaunch the program. So now the Tomcat is going to start with the server 2022. And instead of home, if I'm trying to write the path, that is contact, it is going to display welcome to contact page. All of you like this, you can able to work with multiple view components, but you just need to specify the external configuration information into application.properties. Okay, application.properties by using spring.mbc.view.prefix, spring.mbc.view.suffix. That's it. How simple it is to implement Spring Boot Web Application. We just need to focus on how to write controller, because this is the specific code. We don't need to write any boilerplate code now. I mean to say configuration, deployment descriptor file, dependencies. We can able to reduce all these steps actually, because there are many benefits in Spring Boot. Okay. So now, I hope now you got the point how to create one simple web application using Spring and using Spring Boot.